Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today we have Netflix 446th film from the 2021 thriller film Hypnotic. This one is directed by Matt Angel and Suzanne Coote. It stars Kate Siegel, Jason O'Mara and Dule Hill. I am Jesse, I'm your host. Thank you for joining me today for this Netflix original film. As always, if this is a film that you haven't seen yet and you're interested in checking it out, give us a pause and come back a little bit later on, because we are going to spoil this film as we go, and this one's going to be very hard not to spoil because it's quite obvious where this one's going to go. But we like to start off with the Fast Flicks, which is a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one is about a woman who is struggling in life. So she turns to a hypnotist and everything seems to be going along fine. But what is actually happening in these sessions? Question mark. There we go. At the start of the show, I used to always finish with a question mark, and there we go. I've done it again. It's been a long time, but this one was a bit of a struggle for me. So let's look at this film. The tagline for this film is, "His wish is her command." There you go. That kind of gives away a lot about this film realistically if we're talking about a hypnotist and a female patient. The Netflix logline, when you log on to Netflix, it says, "A software engineer played by Kate Siegel is drawn into the orbit of a mysterious hypnotherapist played by Jason O'Mara in this tense thriller." There you go. That gives a bit more away. And then while you're watching on Netflix, if you pause, it says, "Feeling stuck both personally and professionally, Jen turns to a mysterious hypnotherapist for help, only to find herself caught in a mind game." There you go. That's what this film is all about. Around the world, in Chinese, it's called Fatal Hypnosis. In Croatian and Russian, it's called Under Hypnosis. That makes sense. In Japanese, it's called At Will. Not bad. Polish, it's called The Hypnosis Effect. In Korean, it's called Sleeping Woman. That doesn't really help the film out. And then finally, Ukrainian, it's called Hypnotherapy. So there you go. All plays around with the same word of hypnosis. This hit Netflix worldwide on the 27th of October, 2021. It was filmed in and around British Columbia in Canada, in Vancouver and Port Moody, between the 17th of Feb 2021 to the March the 25th of 2021. There we go. So this is peak COVID times from memory. What are the critics and audiences saying about this film? So on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics, it sits at 25%. That's on 20 reviews. That is definitely rotten. Same with the audience. It's at exactly the same, 25% on more than 250 ratings. So you'd have to say this one is not looking like it's going to be a very positive experience. IMDb, again, very low, 4.4 out of 10 on 23,000 ratings. Letterboxd sits at a 2.4 out of 5 on 41,000 ratings, but it's been logged by 53,000 people. And on Metacritic, where they use the traffic light system of red, yellow, and green, the critics have it at a 32 out of 100 on 6 reviews. That is red on that traffic light system, meaning bad. The audience a little bit higher. It's in the yellow section, a 4.8 out of 10 on 20 reviews. There we go. Good little consensus there. Probably pretty negative. What are my early thoughts for this one? There isn't anything original or interesting about this film. It goes through the motions. It doesn't even have a twist worth sticking around for, unfortunately. So pretty negative from me for this one. Let's look at the directors. So Matt Angel and Suzanne Coote. If we talk about Matt's got 40 odd acting credits, so done a lot of screen work, and also directed The Open House with Suzanne Coote, which was a stinker of a Netflix original film we covered in our early years on this show. So these two, they work together a lot. That one starred, it was the kid from the TV show 13 Reasons Why. I vaguely remember that. I remember that was not a very good film. We've got an episode on that, so if you wanted to listen to me rant and rave about another poor film, jump onto that one. Let's look at the characters in this one. So Jen is the protagonist. She is as we've sort of said earlier, a bit of struggling. She's a struggling middle-aged woman who is trying to avoid her ex-fiance, boyfriend, husband. I'm not quite sure what he actually is. And I guess she's introduced to this hypnotherapist to help her by her best friend, her best friend being Gina. And I think she reveals throughout her sessions with this doctor or this hypnosist that she's broken up with Brian, her ex, because they had a stillborn child. They couldn't deal with the trauma or the grief of that, and now she's unemployed and she's depressed. So that's where she's at. So she'll do anything to make herself feel better. And then the doctor that she meets, Dr. Colin Mead, he is so clearly the villain that this character really adds no intrigue to the film. It's just so clear he's the bad guy. He was married to the love of his life. She's died, so he's obviously got some ulterior motives too. The police officer in this film, Detective Wade Rowlands, he's brought into the film because he's had previous experiences of dealing with the weird things that happen around the Doctor, and he's hell-bent on helping Jen work out what's going on. Brian, Jen's ex, I mentioned him before, but I guess there's a moment in this film where Jen is brainwashed by the Doctor to try and kill Brian, and I guess Jen sort of ends up being there for him and apologizes to him for not sharing the grief of their common experiences in having a stillborn child too. I did mention Gina being Jen's best friend, and she's the one why she actually meets the Doctor anyway. So let's talk about some scenes. What worked, what didn't work. The thing that worked, there's one scene where Jen decides to go and see a police hypnotist to try and counteract the work of the Doctor, and her line is that I've got issues with your profession. That was funny. That was good. The rest of it, not great. There's a moment where Wade tells Jen to lay low after Gina's death. It was just such an obvious line. Wade, the police officer, he's at his house, he's watching crime files on TV while he just sort of chills by himself. Like, he's dedicated to his job. Wade and Jen, they talk about seeing this different hypnotist, the police hypnotist that I sort of mentioned in the line that I liked, and she's going to help recall, and she's like visiting Brian in the hospital bed, and it's like a cut that she goes into the next room to see this hypnotist. It just felt really, really poor editing. The whole Jen with the hypnotist, and she wants to plant this counter trigger to what the Doctor's done. And Jen's like, oh, she sees something, it's like the bracelet with today's date, and she's like, I've got to go. And then she just goes by herself to this house. Like, how dumb of a character can you get? Wade, he gets attacked. He's in the hospital bed. He just pulls the cord from his arm so he can chase after Jen. It was just laughable. And the whole twist dream within a dream almost at the end, it just didn't work. It was just a little bit lame. So what was the film trying to say? I found it hard, realistically. I think there's obviously... They weren't done very well, but it's trying to comment on the power of the subconscious, the dangers of hypnotherapy, I guess. There's a lot of misogyny, toxic masculinity, and I guess that the abuse of men towards women through this horrible Doctor. And I mean, through Jen's visions, it seems that he's almost sexually assaulting her when she's hypnotized too, and there's no real backlash on or comments or any dialogue saying this is why he's bad as well. The lengths that people will go to be happy is seen in this film too. And I think there's this line about being a victim's a choice. Like, the hardships don't define people. You got to make your own opportunities and bounce back. So that's some of the things this film was trying to say. What else did I take away from this film? I think even with such a short runtime, this film, I think it was like 88 minutes or something, pretty short. It still felt way longer than it needed to be, unfortunately. Some questions, some pondering, some thoughts, some ideas to finish this show off. Jen, is she smart? Like, I've got to ask the question. As a character, I know in thrillers and horror films, you've got to sometimes paint characters in situations that, as an audience, you sit there going, no, don't make that turn, or don't open that door. But that's not what this film's about. This film is meant to be about a woman who's overcoming the abuse of a male by accessing her mind and then trying to physically hold her captive and turn her into a woman that's going to love him. To me, you needed to have her as a strong, dominating female who's able to bounce back over this and show her strength to dominate him. And that didn't happen. The Jane chick in the opening shot. The opening shot is this woman being crushed in an elevator, and it's revealed that she's a victim of Dr. Mead and that she'd been hypnotized by him. But the idea, and I think it was about this fear that she had of an elevator squishing her in her mind, and she died of a heart attack because she's stressed of this elevator or this lift. But like, does the hypnosis make people do real things? Like, I was just very confused that, you could get someone, Jen's friend, he got, through the hypnosis, Gina, she crashed a car, so he got her to physically do something, but this chick just has a heart attack because, mind that she's in an elevator that's squishing her. I don't know, just some bits and pieces. I think, the same thing too, the illusions that are sort of said as well, that spider that created that car accident. I don't know. Jen... she's clicked that the phone call from the Doctor made her feed this food to Brian that made him have an allergic reaction. So why do her and Gina keep answering the phone from a private number? Like, if you know that's how he gets to you and makes you do things, why keep answering the phone? I I mentioned this in the scenes that I thought, Wade, the detective, he likes to sit and watch a good crime show. I'm the same. I love watching a good true crime show. I think I've sort of binged quite a bit in the last week or so. So good on him. I've got nothing else to say. I'm ready to wrap this one up. We give the film a rating out of 5 on the show. I can't even put many thoughts together realistically. It's not worth your time. It's uninspired, even if I guess the actors give it the best that they can. I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. It's not worth your time, so don't bother. We're on socials. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, and we have X, formerly known as Twitter. Give us a follow, give us a like, jump on if you can. The question that I wanted to ask in relation to this film is have you ever been hypnotized? I haven't, and I don't think I ever would let anyone do that. But obviously, this is a big thing. We've seen through the history of film almost the pendulum swinging to put people into trances and things like that. So, have you ever been hypnotized? Does it work? What are your thoughts on it? Let us know in the comments. Other than that, we are back next week with another film from 2021. We're into October, so we're getting towards the end of 2021. But next week, we have a Polish supernatural slasher film called Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight 2. Or in Polish, it's We Les Disney Zanes Nikt 2. There we go. Apologies for my pronunciations there. This one is directed by Bartosz M. Kowalski and stars Zofia Wilczak, Julia Weinawaya, and Wojciech Mechweldowski. There we go. This is a sequel to a film that we have covered on this show, Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. We did do the first episode. So if you're interested in jumping in for this one next week, maybe watch the first film first. That might be a bit of a clue. Other than that, I'm looking forward to seeing you then. Enjoy the week.